All right, what's up, everybody? Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Whew. Another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. As you can see, it's the only brother in the building right now. I need to have my headphones on, but nobody's here yet, so we good. So today we're talking about is there really an oppressor? This came from the conversation or comment that happened yesterday with Jay Hamilton. Um, he said, building a bridge. He said we can't combine or come together with our oppressor. Um, and it made me think about, what is an oppressor, or is there still an oppressor? What's up, Lisa? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for rocking with me and sharing. One man, one mic. So, oh, yes, indeed. Bam. That's what I'm talking about. Don't forget to subscribe to the Brothers of Legacy on YouTube. Yes, indeed. I appreciate that, Lisa. Definitely, definitely. As well as make sure you join our community when this thing stops doing that thing. Um, Text brothers to 84576. Text brothers to 84576. And be a part, and you'll start getting notifications when we go on. I didn't put one out today. I dropped the ball on that one. Actually, I probably do it between break. But I did shoot it out to my email list, so I am getting better. Put your hat on. Let's see. Put your hat on. On. What's up, Sports Car Lady? Good morning. Thank you for rocking with us. All right, so it's gonna be me, and I'm gonna talk about where I got this topic from, or some revelations from a documentary I'm in the process of watching. Because it's kind of interesting. All right, so hopefully by the time we get back, some of my brothers will be here. If not, it'll just be me, one man, one mic, one topic. All right, we'll be right back.
I didn't want to catch that.
Morning.
Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Good morning. Good morning. What's up, everybody?
Sorry, I was on mute. So, what's up, Terry? Let's back up. My bad. Oh, I asked this question about the oppressor because I've been watching the documentary and always get it hip hop, not unfiltered hip hop. Is it hip? I think hip hop unfiltered. I always get the I don't know why I can't remember this documentary. What's up, Cole? Good morning to you, brother.
How you doing, AD? Oh, I'm sorry,
Man,
Blazer AD. Uh-oh.
Uncensored. There you go. I don't know why I was doing it. Hip Hop Uncensored. If you've not checked it out, Hip Hop Uncensored on FX. Hip Hop Uncensored on FX. And it is very different than any hip hop documentary that's I've ever seen produced or created, because it goes into the underbellies of how the finances of hip hop happened, especially back in the day, even coming up until the 2000s. I'm not sure how far the documentary is going to go. Um, it's been that way. What's today? Today is Tuesday. Okay,
What's up,
had
Ephraim?
to, had to make sure I didn't forget about my brother E. He's tomorrow. He's tomorrow.
And
He's on the
actually,
schedule
it's
for tomorrow.
and actually
Go ahead.
that FX series is Hip Hop Uncovered.
Uncovered.
Yeah, Hip Hop Uncovered.
Uncovered? Uncovered,
Hmm.
not uncensored. Right.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Hmm.
Always correcting the brother. Oh, so yeah, hip hop uncovered. So if you look up hip hop uncovered, and it's very interesting, right? So in part two of it, really was an eye opener. Why? And it kind of was a culmination of this topic because we always talk about. Me and my wife was really digging into this. So we always talk about how drugs got into our community, right? And it's been said the FBI, CIA put it in our community, but we had to take a step back, right? Do you remember Original Gangster? And I'm going off of movies because I know they always get some level of truth in a lot of these movies. Original Gangster, not Original Gangster. It's Original Gangster
That's a
with
song, Original
all
Gangster.
right with with Denzel Washington. He was
Oh,
Bumpy,
American
not Bumpy
Gangster.
Jump, American Gangster. See, I'm all jacked up. What up, Dwayne?
What up? What up?
All right,
Dwayne in the
let me move
building.
this along. Let me move my story quickly. But in American Gangster, he got into drugs, right? He was selling drugs or whatever, and he was becoming the kingpin. But you
Frank
remember how he got a lot of the drugs into the country?
Mm-hmm.
Remember through the military,
Right.
through the funerals, through the bodies, the dead body. He put it in there with them.
Yeah.
So let's take a step back. If this is true, then he got the drugs into the community. Wouldn't you say that? And he wasn't the first nor the only to do it that way. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't know for certain, but you always know someone's taking a blueprint, just using it in a different neighborhood. Now we'll say there has to be a lot of connecting, to make that happen. Some people have to be turning the other way. Some people have to know what's going on for this to happen. So I started thinking about that, right? And then in this documentary, Hip Hop Uncovered, uh, some of these big drug dealers, Sam, if you remember the guy's name, one of the leading dudes that was actually talking about it, how they begin to basically franchise gangs and this drug dealer. They would go into like Minnesota, go into these different places, and basically franchise the business.
We talking Big Meech?
Not Meech.
No,
I
no,
think
no.
is it Meech?
It's either Haitian Jack or Trick or
The other dude.
Free Ray.
The other dude, you're not naming. Yes.
yeah,
Big U. There you go. Big
Big U.
U. And
Big
he
U.
spoke about this. So it's not like we should actually set out of his mouth. And so they begin basically French. And because I always wondered, how do you have the Crips and Bloods in all these different neighborhoods, doing the same thing, having the same signs, how do you franchise a gang? Because back in the day, we had posses. You had your block. Everybody had their posses or their groups, but everybody had different names, different cultures. But somehow the Crips and Bloods were franchised. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So my thing is, yeah, organization and organized. Right. So my thing is, who is the oppressor?
No, the oppressor don't change. Those are byproducts.
Yeah, but okay, but where does the where does the responsibility kick in as to what is happening in our community?
Well, it's like this. This is my view. It's like the body. We're a body, right?
Right.
Now, let's take the flu.
Uh-huh.
We get the flu. Now, the body has a way of fighting the flu.
Right.
But the flu is still going to get off its whatever. It's gonna create, the viruses are going to take over some areas. It's going to replicate. the body does everything it can to fight the flu
Okay.
or whatever the said virus is. If the immune system is strong enough, then the body fights it off. If the immune system isn't strong enough, then the body loses. But do you blame the body that the virus invaded it? Is it the body's fault, or is it just a byproduct of being having the virus in you to start with?
Okay. So Sam says the byproducts of what? And
Oh,
he
it's
said the dope game is a symptom, not the root cause of the problem. He said, I hear you, Dwayne. So go ahead. Go ahead.
no. He said what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Because you got to remember, the first time we see drugs in our streets
Right.
was during the 60s.
Right.
Like major drugs, hard
Right.
drugs on large levels.
Right.
And that was a direct product of Hoover trying to decentralize the Black Panthers on the West Coast at Oakland and Richmond, California. We see drugs before that, but not in large quantities. You won't find it. You won't find a major Black drug dealer before that. Like, you might have had onesies and twosies here and there,
Right.
but the Nicky Barnes, the Frank Lucases, those guys, they wasn't there yet. Those guys are an offshoot from what was injected, from what we had injected into our neighborhoods. And when that was injected, yes, absolutely. They give us a plate of food. We have the ability to push the plate away.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
the food is still in the neighborhood, and when somebody's hungry, somebody's gonna eat. So it's a two-pronged thing. Yes, there's an oppressor with an agenda,
Right.
and they usually use something we need or we desire. That's why it makes it hard for us to turn it away, because it's that low-hanging fruit, but it's the low-hanging fruit of destruction.
Right.
Yeah. And you also have to take into account we live in a country, still do to this day, where it is like the old school Wu-Tang song, cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money, dollar bill, y'all. And when anyone has that itch to
Right.
earn something or steal something or pillage a neighborhood for something,
Right.
the atmosphere is ripe for it. So, so you have to understand that, yeah, we can do a lot of damage to ourselves. There's no question about that. No question about that. However, you have to look at what we learned. We all have this. We can make do for ourselves, and we can find a way out of no way. And we have that understanding. And sometimes that no way can be a thuggish way. Sometimes, and I'm not justifying it. That's just like an old school third base song, is a product of the environment. That's what you see.
Right.
And you have all of this come into the neighborhoods.
Right.
Why? Because, well, you had the government say, you know what, we have to subvert a power base that doesn't look like us, that doesn't talk like us, that actually we fear is out for us.
Right.
So, how do we neutralize a power base? Well, have them be high off their minds. And when that happens, you have that in there. And then you have certain characters that you thought were just petty criminals. In the mid 60s, they turned to drug dealers in the 70s because they now have the power and the wherewithal to move in a way that they couldn't years earlier.
But do you feel like, because I think, and sometimes I feel like that we give too much credence to as the man, right? So do you feel like it was a collusion of people coming together for one attack on Black people, or was it just like separate things that happen in order to affect the Black community? You know what I'm saying? Like, because let me break it down. So where we got to Do you really feel like this was the plan, or this was like, wow, I didn't think it will affect them like that?
Well, I think there's two things. There is the man, and then
Right.
there is the Negro.
Okay.
I mean, it goes to what Malcolm X said about the Nation of Islam in the movie Malcolm X.
Okay.
He said, quote, greatest, greatest organization that black people have ever created. Negroes ruined it. Close quote. So you have to understand that yes, there's elements of the man there, but there's also elements of our own culture that wants to basically
Right.
condemn
Right.
what we are and who we are because
Right.
they don't like themselves, and so they assume that many of us don't like ourselves, and then they want to basically destroy the community because of that hatred, because of that
Right.
self hatred.
Right.
And I understand what you're saying, AD, and
I do too.
I partially agree with it. But what I just want to always point out is we can't undersell the fact that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. See, what happens is if redlining occurs, and
Right.
it does,
Right.
and it's government
Right.
introduced,
Right. I got you.
yeah,
I understand that.
if that occurs, then there was a purpose for it occurring.
Right.
And the byproducts of that are school systems, the education systems, and tax money and how it's implemented. And then the neighborhood to prison pipeline that stems from that. We can't undersell that, hey, this is the reason why the black neighborhood as we know it looks the way it looks.
Right.
Now we got to put a semicolon there as well.
Right.
Because even though that is factual and it's a truth,
Mhm.
we still have some responsibility now.
Right.
Now, you're absolutely right. The system did create this. The system did make this. The system did have intents with it, and it's worked
Right.
pretty well.
Right.
But even though the system implemented this way of living
Right.
and these things,
Mhm.
we still have people we have several people who have risen above that and implemented in their generation, the generations after them, that, hey, you're going to be better than this. This system can't take you. This system, that's, I won't say it's the rule, not the exclusion.
Okay.
But what I will say is there's still a large amount of people who can't climb out of it yet because they're not built that way. And even if you give it to them, just like Christ, it's a free gift.
Right.
It's free. It's grace and mercy. There's nothing you got to do to get it. There's nothing you can do to earn it. But here it is.
Right.
And some people still reject it. That's going to be a reality of it. There's going to be part of our community that's always going to reject. We can be better and we can overcome everything that they've done to us.
Right.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change the fact that, yeah, it was done intentionally, and intentionally it's working.
120.
Okay.
100.
So Tawan says the man started removing the industrial programs from our schools in the late 70s. Our people were able to leave high school certified electricians, plumbers, builders, and supported large families off a high school diploma. He said, in and out of jail, 2 strikes on your record, decent jobs, options limited. Dope sounds like the best option.
Right.
And he says, the man then dropped off crack and gave us the crime bill. The man is real. We can go deeper with redlining healthcare and school system, etc. Okay, so my question then is, with knowing and understanding the plight or the setup, right? We all probably, I'll say 90s is probably my more awakening because my teenage years, but understanding what has happened from the Willie Lynch letters, though we're not sure if it's real, but it still was an eye opening kind of letter because you just like, wow, it's amazing how that kind of came together. But hey, Keita, good morning. And what's up, Richard? Great morning to you, my friend. We how those things come together. Our eyes are open, and we understand. And we've been talking the man, and like I said, since the 90s, we've been talking. We've been aware of the man or the big plan or things that are not right and things that need to change. Redlining has gotten somewhat better. It's not a perfect, because I know it still goes on. But we understand now what has been countered into our neighborhoods to destroy us, right? Knowing this, are we still subjective to the oppressor? And who would you call the oppressor? Would you say it's still the government at large? Would you say it's a specific department? Because I mean, you don't see it as much, or you don't feel it as much. But what is your outlook? And then also, part two of that is, are we taking enough responsibility for us to move past this negative connotation into a more positive light? And this is going past the twerking and stuff like that. That's just entertainment. That's just people being people. I'm just, what I'm saying? Like, there's gonna be challenges. We gonna be silly.
So
that's a hard question to unwrap.
So we're not talking busted challenges or anything like that. Okay, gotcha.
Not at all. Not. I mean, honestly, not at all. Because that's like a byproduct of just just being who we are. Just having fun. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Every decade is gonna be another phase. Right. We would have had them too. We just didn't have internet.
Right.
So let's start with one. Which one of those do you want to start with first? Because that's a lot to unpack.
So what would you say? Is there still an overlooming the man? And so real quick. So E says they hold the power still. They hold power still, though. AD. It takes years to bounce back from all those years of oppression.
It's taken centuries, my friend.
That's because there's a lot of trauma, and like I've had this conversation with my sister. I mean, my brother-in-law and my wife. I told you guys about. They're from the Bahamas, so they don't connect with Black America the way I do.
Right, because, I remember you said that. Yeah, because
they don't have a history of slavery. Everybody where they're from looks like them, so they treat each other the way they treat each other, and that's it. So I showed my brother-in-law. I showed him the opening scene of The Butler. Okay. And I was like, this is just an example. I was like, but this is a true story, and this is somebody's legacy. Somebody remembered their mother being taken out the cotton field and raped by the slave owner, and then looking at their daddy like, Daddy, what you gonna do? And Daddy finally says something, and Daddy gets shot down in the field. Wow. That's it. It would be if our pain and suffering ended in 1865, when people say, I can't
get over it.
When people say that, if my pain and suffering ended in 1865, I can. But then I told him, I was like, can you imagine children having German Shepherds sicked on them, being hit with hoses, fire hoses, high pressure fire hoses, children? I was like, but okay. Do you remember the open casket funeral of Emmett Till because a white woman said, hey, that little Black boy whistled at me? Or maybe you got PCP-induced Rodney King who deserved to be in jail, but that camera caught him on the side of the road being beat by, what was it, 6, 7 cops? Like, it was a long whooping.
Yeah,
I've been in fights. I've been in fights before. And 30 seconds of the fight is a long time. They beat him for longer than 30 seconds, but it didn't stop there. And y'all get the picture. This goes on up into George Floyd and even after, right?
Right.
So what I told him, I was like, if it would have stopped in 1865 and you said we need to get over some things and we need to embrace what we can do, I could agree with that. But the problem is, you got an open sore, an open wound that's been constantly reopened. It's trauma that's never been healed from.
Right. I'm gonna dig into that. You want to add something, Cole?
Yeah. The hurt aspect, I think, really, really is key, because our community has to deal with one of two different types of fights, and that's why we had, of all the civil rights leaders back in the 1960s, you had one that was more Gandhi-like, And you had one more that was more incendiary and Marcus Garvey-like. And we have these two parallels as to what we need to do in terms of getting over, getting past, getting through whatever oppression has befallen us.
Right.
But make no mistake, that decision still is made, and it's not necessarily something that's far off in the way distant past. I mean, I heard a story that Lionel Richie told. Yes, Lionel Richie, ex-lead singer of the Commodores, Lionel Richie.
Once
He went to Montgomery with his father
Right.
when he was, I think it was 11. I think he was 11 at the time. And Richie saw this water fountain and went to it, but he didn't realize that in Montgomery, Alabama, and this was in 1960, I may add,
Right.
that this was a whites only fountain.
Okay.
And so the owners of the establishment came, and they came armed, pointed guns toward toward his father, and his father relented and left. So, Richie goes on. He grows up in Tuskegee, which is about 30-ish miles east of Montgomery. And he goes to college, and he goes to college in Tuskegee. And, of course, it's a historically black college university. And so, Richie's being filled with all of this pro-black rhetoric. And, of course, this is the late 60s now.
Right.
So, you have a lot of Black Panther stuff and a lot of Nation of Islam stuff that's infused in all of it. And, of course, you have the turmoil of MLK's death and, of course, Medgar Evers' death earlier that decade.
Right.
And many other civil rights leaders, of course, Malcolm X's death in 1965. You have all this feeling.
Right.
And so he comes home one summer.
Okay.
And he's angry, and he looks at his father and he says, those fools that pulled that gun on you, why didn't you fight them, Dad? Why didn't you kick their behinds? Why did you not beat them down? Now, mind you, his father was an army soldier, an army captain.
Right.
He was a captain in the army.
I got
you.
And
he was retired, and he could have handled it.
Right.
His father's response was, I had a choice that day whether I wanted to be a man or be your father. And so I chose that day to be your father.
Wow.
That decision was made 60 years ago. So this is not something that was 18th century, 19th century. This is middle to latter part of the 20th century. And I guarantee you, we don't have whites only fountains now, but I guarantee you, we still have those decisions we still have to make within our own community, whether to be a man or to be a father to a child or a husband to a wife or a wife to a husband or a mother to a child, because of the conditions that we have in our society.
Look at George Floyd. There you go.
Thank you.
I get
Wonderful,
it. Okay, so let me ask you this though. I get it. I'm gonna sound very Fox-like. I'm gonna be on the Fox side of this discussion.
Bill O'Reilly.
Oh yeah.
No. Go ahead, Sean Hannity.
So I feel you on all of that. I understand that not to say that it's all gone, that to say that there's nothing that exists. So let me just make that clear. But do you feel like the trauma is being drummed up? Let me get clear on this. So let's just say, Dwayne, every year, like say you had like a bad breakup with your girl, right? And she was like well known, like she was an actress, whatever, and they did a movie about her, right? And you get to see the autobiography, and you see the moment where you guys had your spat, she smacked you, she walks out, or you catch her, in the bed with somebody or whatever's going on.
Right.
And you constantly see this, right? And let's just say it was a pivotal moment and she discovered something, so it's always, the moment that she, always in your face. When you say that would drum up your emotions.
I would. You're absolutely right. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
So I say that so you know where I'm going. So you watch these movies because like I like watching Judas and the Messiah. You know, we if you should already know how that ends, but it's rough watching, or even watching Malcolm X. Everyone should see. You know how it ends. We know what's gonna happen.
Roots,
You know,
high learning.
it's like you're hoping it's going to be different, but you know, well, high
Panther.
learn is not
It's
real.
fictional.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so you know you're praying that something different happens. But with Malcolm X, yeah, with these autobiography, Martin Luther, you know what's going to happen.
Right.
But the thing is, what is it? How is it? Because we see it and it drums it up. It makes you angry. Because when watching Judas and the Messiah made me angry. You know, like, is it harder to heal if you're constantly seeing it?
I don't think that's the seeing that makes it harder to heal, because you're absolutely right. What makes it harder to heal is, let me ask you this question. Do you know who Alton Sterling is? You know who Jamal Crawford is?
The name sounds familiar. Yes.
You know who
Unfortunately, yes.
George Breonna
Yeah.
Taylor, George
Yes.
Floyd, Rodney
Eric
King,
Garner.
Yes.
Trayvon, Eric. That's what
Eric
makes it
Garner.
hard. It's
Right.
not the movies. The movies exist because, hey, look, this is what's always been happening. Look, let me show you. This ain't new. Let me show you. So
Right.
it's, you know what, you're right when it comes to the movie part, because I get mad when I watch movies.
Right.
But take all the movies away. There was 25 unarmed black men killed by white police officers last year under questionable circumstances. I'm gonna call it questionable.
Right.
I'm not gonna call
Right.
them all murder, but there was 25 last year that died under questionable circumstances,
Right.
and nobody's in jail. That's the rub right there. For me, I mean, or look at the prison. You got a dude in the same courtroom in Texas. I mean,
Right.
not even different, but there's a woman who gets, what I want to say, 10 years for failure to appear for traffic court. And then there's a white guy in the same courtroom who rapes and molests underage girl, and he gets probation.
Right.
Right.
Same courtroom, same judge.
Right.
Those are the things that make this like, hey, you want me to get over something, but you still treat me the same as if it's 1865. I'm not hanging by a tree, but justice shows slap the same.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Taiwan says the government is part of it as well as a dominant society. White people, they're not willing to play fair and give up their head start. He also says you need 5 things to control a community: property, healthcare, supermarkets, schools, and financial institutions. Name one area in America where blacks are in charge of any of these 5 areas or treated equally in these areas. The man controls them. All right, to that though, let's see. So property we own. Healthcare is nothing more than building a company to do the things to help your people, right? When you say supermarkets are in large being taken over by like
Corporations.
five different corporations. I think are now in charge of major supermarkets. I think 5 to 4. It's not as many. There's been a lot of consolidation. Schools, I get it, because public schools are government controlled. Financial institutions, from banking and things of that nature, we can get into that as well. And yeah, and Atlanta has black banks. I think Big
Killer
Mike, Killer Mike. I'm just. Do we create what we need? Yeah. Killer Mike has
That's a good
started an
question, yeah.
online banking. And that's the thing. We have the financial angst. We have the money in our community. It's just doing it and building it. Go ahead.
You're right, but I still think the focus is in the wrong place.
Okay.
I think you still we got to heal first, and I know it sounds like it doesn't sound correct because it's been a long time, but when I was deployed and I was at war, I can't pull you off the battlefield after you get shot, after you lose a limb, or you have a TBI, a traumatic brain injury. I can't leave you on the battlefield and expect the same thing out of you. I got to pull you off the battlefield and make you whole before you can fight again. So I think before we even get to any of that, there's a huge the violence that we see is reactionary and it's hurting. When they burn down cities this year, take all the Antifa crap out. I'm talking about us that was in the middle of it.
Right.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Cole.
So what are we healing from, and what would it look like? Sorry for my podcast people. Go ahead.
Here is where the problem lies. We talk about in relationships. We're not even dealing with the overall society thing. We're just dealing with relationships. We deal with a lot of people saying, well, black men don't want to go seek counseling. Black men, not even black people, black men don't want to uncover things within themselves. Black men have an issue with seeing if there's something wrong with them. Black men do not want to look in the mirror. So you have a community where many people, even in relationships, say that, well, you have one sector that doesn't want to fool with trying to heal.
Yeah.
And you have to actually understand what is healing.
Right.
And people have to understand healing. There's more pain in healing. It's like what Dr. Cornel West said one time. He said it takes more courage for a man to plunge within the abyss of one's soul than that of a soldier on the battlefield. It is not easy to look at yourself and say, what is wrong with me? And you have to have many in our community look at themselves and in that mirror and say, what is wrong with me? And then go about the business of healing and fixing what is wrong with me.
Right.
And if you have many who do that, then we can go out and fix and help out those that have problems and find out what is wrong with them. But when you have denial all throughout the society, how can you heal? And that's a problem.
And that there's even another level of healing that I don't know if most of us even think about. Think about life on the plantation. What was the male slave good for? He was a buck.
Right. Yes, sir. That's what they called him. That's what they called him.
That's what he was. Hey, we got 5 women. We want you to make us some. Oh, you the strong one? Go out here and make a bunch of babies. And then sometimes he gets sold off. The babies get sold off. But the first thing you see is that's where fatherhood goes wrong in Black community, because fathers have. I'm not saying that nobody's had fathers. You're on mute though.
No, I know. I'm sorry. Okay. I was writing you, but I was.
Okay, gotcha.
I'll let you talk.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that nobody has fathers.
All right.
But part of that cycle, did start right there. The Black woman and her children, especially her sons. There's a aspect of that relationship that sometimes can be a little bit mystifying. We know we all love our children, but I've seen Black women like dang near lose their life protecting their sons. Why? Because it started back with the plantation mentality. There's a lot of things that we've gone through and that we've seen that we can say every day in the streets. This stems from that. And I know that there's people with 2-parent homes. I know there's several Black people with 2-parent homes, but let's be real. We all know at least 10 people off the top of our head that are Black that you can like, yep, their mom and daddy didn't make it, or his daddy was never around. I mean, I know I can, at least in the South, that's where it was. Maybe up north, you guys had a chance to do some individual healing, but healing as a whole, it's the family unit being made whole again. It's that low-hanging fruit that we grab a hold to all the time. That's that being That's that being eradicated on a large scale, and us embracing the power that we actually have. Like we look at every major sport, every major thing, and we see that we've risen to the top of each one of them. But those have been individuals within our community who's had somebody pouring it in, work hard, do this, concentrate, stay consistent. And because all of us, to an extent, are capable of some level of greatness, but most of us can't sustain it. And that's just, there's a lot more to it, but I know I'm being long-winded, so I'm a yield.
See, we yield my time. He said, and what point does personal responsibility come into play? Because my thing, I think about the personal responsibility. I hear what you're saying, and I know there's probably a level of trauma based on either genealogy or where your family came from or what they might have been through. But I say that you're responsible for yourself and the actions that you take in order to help your life become better. Now, and I'm not going to get on the Fox train with the pull yourself by the bootstraps. You can get here just like I got here, because sometimes it's a little more difficult based on where you come from, what you know, who you're connected to. Because, sometimes they are the catalyst that gets you to the places that you are. The people because most people were on one train, they ran into somebody else and they like, yo, you need to change your mindset, and it's those things like that help people get out of being stuck. But when it comes to personal responsibility, I think about, like I was saying back, with the rappers and the drugs and them franchising, if they taking that same mentality of franchising into something else, you know what I'm saying? How much better off we would be, why not create some opportunity for us to get money legally in the most legalistic way? And I understand the streets. I know when you don't have anything, it's like I gravitate to what I see, and the richest people in my hood are slinging dope. Like this becomes my aspiration because I don't see any other way out. Other than go ahead.
I mean, when you have avenues only open to the drug game, basketball, or the booth, it's difficult. It's difficult that's the only three ways you see of not just making it out, but to build wealth.
Right.
And when you have those messages continuously hone into you when you're young, what are you going to think when you become 18, 19, 20, 21? You're going to think, well, the only three avenues I have is sling, dribble, or spit a hot 16. I mean, that's it.
Right.
But you don't get conditioned with understanding that, well, yeah, you can do more than just those three things. Right. But when you hear every single day through media, through family, through movies, through your own two eyes, or in my case, four, that all you can do is just be a hustler, be an athlete, or be an entertainer.
Right.
That's it. And you're going to continue that, and you're going to live that, and you're going to perpetuate that, and then you're going to pass that same poison down to the next generation.
Right. And somebody and in the South they call it trapping, and it's a great name, because it is a trap. But here's my question:
it's an appropriate name,
right? Like the war on drugs. We talked a lot about drugs and franchising and everything. The war on drugs. What drugs are organic to America? Out of the stuff that we're really that are hardcore causing epidemics in our communities, which one of them are organic to America? We don't do meth like that. They make meth out in the country. We don't do meth. Right. Crack, heroin, fentanyl, all those come from outside. And in most cases, none of the producers or the transporters look like us. Right. But all the people that are in jail, most of the people that are in jail look like us. Right. Now, as a cop, I knew when I was a cop that if I arrested a kid for selling crack or whatever he was selling, there's gonna be another one on the corner the next day.
Right.
He ain't the problem. He's part of the problem, but he's not the problem.
Symptom.
The problem is, how did it get here?
Right. Yeah. Right.
When you really want change, you address how it got here.
Right.
Because look, if drugs, I'll give you an example. God bless the dead. No disrespect to anybody involved in 9/11. But when 9/11 happened,
Right.
what happened after 9/11? We went to war in 2 countries.
Right.
Yeah.
I spent 4 years of my life in 2 other countries
Right.
that didn't have anything to do with America,
Right.
but I'm there, right?
Right.
We lose about 5,000 soldiers. We kill about 80,000 people.
Right.
3,000 people dead.
Right.
How much dope has killed? How many people have died from drugs, from heroin, from crack, from people on it? Probably millions, maybe tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions.
Right.
Yet we won't go to war with the Colombias, with those people bringing it in from Vietnam. We went to war with 3,000 people.
That's interesting. You're right. That's
but we talking hundreds of millions dead. And the only thing we've done, the correlation that we've done is, hey, let's put all these black drug dealers in jail.
Right. Right.
It shows what you feel is important.
Right.
And that's always been America's own interest. And until we are part of the interest of America, it's going to be the same old, same old.
So how do we break away? Right. So, how do we stop feeding into what's killing us? If that makes sense, like how do we begin to push the narrative of changing your mindset and getting out of what's killing us? How do we push the more of a taking responsibility, not to go the direction that's going to be short lived? You know what I'm saying? It's I mean, and I get the government does, and the government does, and the government does. But wouldn't you say some of our faces are part of this government as well? Like more increasingly. And our faces are in some of these rooms. And so I throw that one up. He said they don't make decisions. I don't know if I agree with that. I think they're just not fighting against it, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know. Like I know.
So you said like passive. I can see it.
Like they know the plan. They know what's happening. Like they can. I feel like in some ways they should be able to flip the switch. Like, yo, stop it. And I get when things are so intertwined. It's a little more complicated to stop, especially if it started in the 80s during the Reagan years. Let's throw that out there. So it's kind of harder to stop that train. But at the same time, right? I figure I see you said, let's not focus on the water, more of the tea, right? Right, and it doesn't affect them.
It's like the old overseer. Right. It's like the overseer on the plantation.
Right. I ain't like boss.
Yeah, we gonna give you a little extra.
Right.
We're gonna give you my old clothes. You get to eat the same stuff we eat at our table.
Right.
But you're still a Negro at the end of the day. But
right.
But you living better than most. We're gonna give you a Bentley. Now we're gonna give you a Bentley. We're gonna give you 7 zeros. Right. You ain't gonna have no issues. Right. So you disconnected from your people and their plight.
Right.
So you think you're here with us, but you really not. I mean, it's
right. White man suit on Bobby Rush. Right. Right. So I think. I mean, I did what you say, because I was watching the Congressional Black Caucus, like a conference they were having, and it just wasn't moving. Like I'm like, you guys are in such a position to really, and it just wasn't. It was like they come up like they don't have any power, and I know people feel like they don't, but I feel like they could really from there really make something happen. Nah, they ain't for it. I know, and listen, Helsi, I'm trying to feel like they can be.
And I'm not even gonna say they ain't for us. They just don't wield enough power. Because
it's like
the reality is you're gonna have to get 15, 20 more people
Right.
with
Right.
you
Right.
that believe like you and is willing to support and stand with you.
Right.
And that's the part that doesn't happen. So you can have all the great ideas in the world if you ain't got no, like if you're a businessman and you got the greatest business pitch in the world, but you ain't got no financial backing, there ain't nothing you can do with it. Oh yeah, you smart. Oh, I love hearing this, brother.
Right.
But that's all you ever become. The
Yeah,
smartest person in the room.
Like a Tavis Smiley.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
silence on that one.
But isn't he just as good, if not better, than anybody on ABC, Fox, MSNBC,
Right.
CNN?
Mhm.
Right. They ain't even had. They said we should have the. Yeah. Oh, let's see. He said, yeah. Let's see. She said, yeah, but how do you know folks won't stand with you if you won't take a stand?
Wonderful question, Samantha.
Nah,
Wonderful question.
Sam, that look, you
Yeah,
deserve
see,
a scholarship for that one.
Wonderful question.
Yeah, done some real work. Tavis has done some work. I think he was
And,
really
and that
trying
was
to
the
push some
point.
things. Yeah, I think trying to push some things.
But that was the point. He does
Right.
work, but he can't
Right.
do it by himself.
Right.
Yeah.
And that, yeah.
Let's see, there's a whole lot of inner me's
Mhm.
Right.
that's going on. And to answer your question that you asked a few minutes ago, AD,
Yes.
we have to realize that a lot of us have enemies being the
Right.
inner me.
Right.
And if we can get away from that
Mhm.
and actually love what we are, who we are, what we can contribute,
Right.
and know the brilliance of our culture, then we can do something. But until then, we have to deal with a lot of inner me's that just do not know that they are basically being a mirror of society. You know, you have these issues that come upon them, but they don't feel as though they can rise above it. They feel as though, well, heck, I'm a part of it, part of the environment, as I said earlier. Well, I'm going to be what they project. So
Right.
they, so if they think I'm a thug, I'm going to be a thug. They
Right.
think I'm a thought, I'm going to be a thought. And when you have those things,
Right.
that's problematic to what you were saying earlier, AD, of rising above,
Right.
of getting past it, of looking at that type of mentality as a poison,
Right.
instead of embracing it and for lack of a better understanding,
Right.
turning negatives into positive, like the N word.
Right. Right.
That's how we do a whole lot more of taking negatives and turning into positives than we do looking at a negative and eschewing it and building the
Absolutely.
positives for ourselves.
Absolutely.
Right.
Look at that diet.
Right.
Who else can make chitlins taste like? Look, I don't eat them no more.
Exactly.
But who else can make chitlins taste like? Do you literally take human, pig,
Yeah. Right.
and turn it into something delicious? Like we mastered the art of taking lemons and making lemonade.
Right.
And the reality of it is this: we are a great people.
Right.
If we were horrible, if we were savages, we would have been at war a long time ago.
Ooh,
Because
man.
if black people treated people like we were treated,
right.
everybody would be our enemy just about in this country.
There wouldn't be enough.
At some point. It wouldn't be easy. There would be no, hey sir, how you doing? Let me open this door for you. No, sir. Yeah, take this brick upside the head. You want to sit on this man back and handcuff him? Okay, somebody hit him with a baseball bat. I mean, that's what we're the most forgiving people out there.
Most loving and most forgiving, most loving culture. Yes.
So
100%.
Yeah, unfortunately. But what? Okay, so
did you say unfortunately? Was that a Freudian slip?
Man,
I believe you're low, Andy. My bad.
No, you're good. You're good. Because sometimes like I said before, Dwayne, like when we was talking about the Trump supporters and the war. I'm like, people want to talk junk about the war, but no one really wants to go to war. And and as much
no,
no one wants to put their family in danger. No one's we want a revolt, but it's like no one wants to lose anybody that they love.
Right.
Like I remember I was watching something. Probably one of the movies. It was like, yeah, we gotta fight for rights. We gonna do what we gotta do. If we gotta die for this, and I was watching like,
Mhm.
look,
You,
look,
you feel
you
it till
look,
go by it. That tune will
you
change.
went too far, AD. You talking about death. I'm talking about no electricity. I'm talking about no running water. I'm talking about you got to go out and fish and hunt. We ain't even talking about death
Nobody
yet.
died.
People
Nobody
ain't
don't
want
die.
that.
That tune will change quick when the hot leg comes close to you. Yes,
Right.
sir.
Most of y'all 5 days without a bath, you like, man, can we just go back to where it was?
Right.
Mhm.
Sim says we love everybody but ourselves and those that look like us.
Woo.
That's what
Good
healing
Lord,
looks
Sam,
like,
you
Sam.
dropping them bombs, girl.
Sam,
Keep
No,
dropping them
Sam,
bombs.
you asked what does healing look
Man,
like? That's what healing look like when we start to love each other like we love everybody else.
that's exactly what healing looks like.
Yeah.
That's exactly what healing looks like. When we can, when I can be bold enough, and I am bold enough to do it. When I'm bold enough, I can look at Dwayne and say I love you, and I can
I
look at
love
AD
you,
and say I
brother.
love you,
Right.
and not
Yes,
and not care if that is another man that I'm saying that to,
Right.
but it's another
Absolutely.
human being I'm saying that to, because
Yes, indeed.
the God within me says, "Well, you love yourself, don't you?"
Right.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Well, you're supposed to love your neighbor as yourself.
Right.
And
Right.
we have to understand that this isn't just nursery rhyme stuff.
Right.
This is biblical, and it
Right.
helps. It
Right.
helps us to learn and understand that we're supposed to love one another. And it's like what MLK said. You know, you know, love. You know, hate can't do anything with hate.
Right.
Love drives out hate,
Right.
and we get to that. The rest should be easy, but it's
Right.
not, because love takes work.
Right.
But if we're willing to put in the work to love first ourselves, then our fellow people,
Right.
our fellow community members, then
Yes.
we can go forward. But it takes that investment of loving yourself first.
Right.
Absolutely.
So before we get out of here, I had an idea. You saying we always get served lemons and we make lemonade. My thing is
Mhm.
when we start owning our own lemon trees. That's
Mm,
you
mm,
know,
mm. No,
and I
no, no,
feel
no,
like
say, no, 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 no.
Yeah,
Say
you're
that
gonna have
again, sir. Say that again.
look, you're gonna have to
um
say this one with your chest.
to with my chest.
Yeah, you gotta
Um
say
Yes.
it.
yeah, you know, like I said, we get stirred lemons, we make lemonade, you know, when do we start owning our own lemons? When we start creating our own? And my thing is, you know, it
Yes, sir.
we could just do it, you know, like begin to build within ourselves. We didn't begin to build a system, you know, and and try to price it or discount, make sure it fits into our budget, it fits into what we're trying to become, you know. And I know there, and like like when we started talking about black businesses, we started talking about restaurants and things like that, you know. And like Pastor was saying, he's like accountants, and there's you know financial, you know, managers and things of that nature. Like my homeboy Derek, he has it's an all black financial group, you know. They focus on everybody, but they're all black, you know, and they do some amazing work. And when we start knowing about them and investing in them as well, where we can start building. And you're right. So this word right here, financial literacy, business literacy, I really feel like it should be a huge push for us to get to that level and working together in order to build something greater. And I just, it has to be the mindset, right? And
Absolutely. Can
it's,
you put your wife's comment up there?
it's a change. It won't be quick, but it will be worth it, right?
And here it is, AD.
Mm.
Change is a seed. It won't be quick. You got to put that seed in the ground. It's kind of like faith.
Work.
You got to put that
Work.
seed in the ground. You got to till the soil. You got to make sure it's watered. You got to make sure it gets the right amount of sunlight. It gets fed properly.
Right.
And it may take 5 years for that tree to produce fruit.
Right.
It's a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Faith,
then it produces. But then it produces fruit, and that fruit, the fruit part of it, is sustaining.
Right.
It's when you start to get some benefits from it.
Right.
But each fruit has within it more seed to put back into the ground to create more trees to make that process exponential.
Right.
So, Sam, you're absolutely right. It won't be quick, but it's worth it, because what is going to take you 5 years to get enough to sustain you and maybe your family, in 15 years, you got enough to sustain you, your family, and every family on the block, because seed is in the fruit, and one seed turns into thousands of seeds, which turns into thousands of trees, which turns into what we need to be self-sufficient.
Faith, just like
Definitely.
change, without works is dead.
Right. So what I want y'all to do, real talk, join the community, join the text community, brothers to 84576, 84576. I have a challenge that I'm working on this very instant. just kind of came to me. So a challenge, right? And with this challenge, I need this to go viral with everybody. And so we can begin to have challenges that are building our community instead of just entertaining the community. So I'm a give me a day, but text yes 84576. Text brothers to 84576.
It's
What's
a
that? Awesome.
green
So
screen. It's all green.
so we could have the challenges that will move our community forward. All right. So just follow me on this. Just text brothers to 84576. Make sure you fill in the sign up because I like to get your name and all that good stuff. So why is it green? Because he got it. The brick wall is the green screen.
Yeah.
Right.
So make sure you text that. So be a part. Thank you so much. Feeling me. Oh, okay. So, not feeling me. Oh, not sure what that means. All right. So we're going to get ready to get out of here. So we appreciate you guys rocking with us and hanging with us. Make sure you share, tag somebody in this broadcast. I know it's at the end and they can get to see the replay and all my replay people. Hashtag
Can I
replay.
get
Go
10
ahead.
quick seconds? How
Sure.
say no? It's not that he's not feeling you, but if we got to get better, we got to come together. So you say
100.
no because he's not feeling you. Do it because we trying to grow something together.
Yeah.
Right.
And people united will never be defeated. That's
Right.
what it's about.
Together. All right. So, we appreciate you guys rocking with us. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We're going to dig deep into this conversation. I should have my brother. It's going to be Ephraim Terrell in the building. No, I was saying he wasn't getting what I said. Oh, okay. Put it up there, brother. I'll read it.
Gotcha.
No, he isn't feeling me like that. Okay. Oh, thank you, Mama Corey. If I didn't say what up, good morning to you, my friend. Appreciate you rocking with us. Sports car lady Cheryl in the building. So yeah, come tomorrow. We have Jay Hamilton Esquire in the building. I'm gonna have my brother Ephraim Terrell in the building, and of course, my brother Dwayne Goodson and possibly Pastor. He couldn't make it today. Yeah, definitely, man. You gotta check it out because I'm gonna want you here tomorrow. We're gonna get deeper in this discussion.
We ready.
Right.
We ready.
So
Thank you, Mama.
that gonna
Corey.
work.
Thank you
Work
so
is getting in the
much.
way. Oh, awesome. Yes, appreciate you, Cole, for rocking with us. He's a new cousin of Legacy. So we appreciate him, man. He always adds. He's been adding, but now you get to actually see him and he can respond quicker. It's a good
Thank
job,
you,
Cole.
Alcino.
Cool. No, I'm just messing with you. All right. We see you guys tomorrow.
Alcino fault.
Know that we love you, but God loves you more. Keep safe, stay safe,
Yes, sir.
and just keep your 6 feet. Wear the mask. You know, it's just I can't even speak on this vaccine thing, so I'm gonna just get out of here now. Peace out, guys. I didn't want to catch
Good
that.
morning.
Welcome to another episode.
Good morning, everybody.
Hold on, guys.